What's going on, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to The Drop, which is a weekly series I do right here on the YouTube channel every single Monday, where I go through the top video game releases of the week and let you guys know what new games are coming out, just in case you are interested in picking up a new game for your console or PC of choice. And this week, we have a pretty solid list of releases. Heavy Rain is making its way to the PlayStation 4, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD is coming out on the Wii U, and of course, Mortal Kombat X is getting a complete edition of sorts. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start breaking these things down. So let's go ahead and kick things off with Heavy Rain coming to the PlayStation 4. Now the distribution of this game is a little bit messed up, so I thought that we would go ahead and get that out of the way first. In North America, it's only going to be available digitally through the PlayStation Network. Now outside of the United States, you do have an option for a physical release that comes bundled with Beyond Two Souls, which is another very impressive and perhaps better known narrative-driven title that came out on the PlayStation 3 and was re-released last December on the PlayStation 4. So those are pretty much your two options. If you're in the North American, United States kind of area, then you're not going to be able to get this thing physically. Now, if you are outside of that, then you do have two different options for how you want to play the game. However, what is in this game? Pretty much you're hunting down the origami killer who leaves a piece of origami art at the scene of each of his individual murders, and that's kind of like his calling card. Now, 4 characters are trying to track him down and bring him to justice, and each of these 4 characters has their own individual motives for why they want to catch the origami killer, and that's kind of where the story comes into play. Now, as you are playing with each of these 4 individual characters, the choices that you make while playing as them directly affect the story, so you can kind of compare this to a Telltale game where what you do actually affects how the story plays out in the long run. Now, of course, whenever you take into consideration the power of the PlayStation 4, the graphics for the console are going to look much better than the PlayStation 3 version of the game did back in the day whenever it was released in 2010, so that is definitely a plus. However, I am going to have to say that if you played the game on the PlayStation 3, there isn't really enough of an improvement to go dish out this money or download it and let it take up space on your system unless you are a pretty big fan of the game. There just simply aren't that many technological or really impressive improvements with this edition of the game. However, if you did not play Heavy Rain on the PlayStation 3 and you wanted to jump in and see what the game was all about, this is definitely the best way to do so to date because, like I said, it does look better with the power of the PlayStation 4 taken into consideration, but it's not, big enough for those that have already played to go back and play through it again. So next up we have Mortal Kombat XL making its way to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, and this is pretty much Mortal Kombat X that came out in early 2015, bundled together with all of the DLC combat packs that have come out to date. Now when it comes to this DLC, I have to say that it's not the amount of content that really impresses me, it's the kind of content that's included within Combat Pack 1 and Combat Pack 2, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. So with Combat Pack 1, you're getting access to Tanya and Tremor, which are 2 classic characters from the Mortal Kombat universe that you would kind of expect to play as, but in addition to that, you get access to Jason Voorhees and Predator, which are the headliners for Combat Pack 1, and that's really cool because those that are playing Mortal Kombat more than likely like the Friday the 13th movies and like Alien vs. Predator, so to see these kind of crossovers within Mortal Kombat is a really awesome thing to be able to show off to your fans. So now with Combat Pack 2, you get access to Bo Rai Cho and Triborg, which are 2 classic characters from the Mortal Kombat franchise, kind of similar like we saw in Combat Pack 1, but the headliners for Combat Pack 2 are actually Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, in addition to a Xenomorph, which is, customarily known for facing off against Predator. So what it comes down to is that with Mortal Kombat XL, you're getting the base game that came out in 2015, access to all of the DLC, but what it really comes down to is that you can fight Jason versus Leatherface, and then you can fight a Xenomorph versus Predator. That's where it's really impressive, and that's why it's drawing me in. So now, in addition to all of this DLC, you do get access to Goro, which I believe was a pre-order bonus. He's a pretty awesome character that has 4 arms. He's got some awesome fatalities, I have to admit. But what really defines this game for me is actually a quote from Tom's Guide, which had a little write-up about the game, and they said the original Mortal Kombat X was an excellent fighting game that was already stuffed with content to begin with, and Mortal Kombat XL just gives you even more of it. So wrapping things up, we have The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD coming to the Wii U, and this is a pretty big release for Wii U fans and Nintendo in general, and hopefully this release goes a little bit smoother than the original release of the game, which actually was kind of in between generations. It was right at the end of the GameCube generation and right at the beginning of the Wii generation, so it was released on both the GameCube and the Wii, but the GameCube version was a little bit better to some people than the Wii version, and then the opposite for others, and ultimately it was a very confusing release, but what everyone knew is that this was arguably the best Zelda game to date, and for many it remains to be their their favorite. So I tried to do a little write-up myself, but I honestly couldn't come up with anything better than how the Nintendo website actually describes Twilight Princess HD. So, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is a critically acclaimed masterpiece set in a massive world bursting with life, but also shadow. A dark figure from the Twilight Realm has invaded the world of light as Link, a farmhand turned cursed beast, joins forces with the impish Midna and trusted, albeit unusual allies to survive the quest that'll take you to the farthest corners of Hyrule and beyond, to the Twilight Realm. So now one big addition to this version of Twilight Princess is the addition of a hero mode, which pretty much doubles the amount of damage that is inflicted on Link from any kind of attack, but it also takes away the heart drops, which pretty much means you are getting your ass beat and you're not getting any life coming in, so what you have is what you've got, and you better make do with the amount of health that you have, and you better dodge those hits because you aren't going to be getting any healthier. So surprisingly enough, at least it was to me, amiibos play a pretty big role in Twilight Princess HD. I didn't really expect to have amiibos in my Zelda game, but that's, you know, to each their own. Pretty much the game comes with a Wolf Link amiibo that can be used with the upcoming Legend of Zelda game coming out on the Wii U in supposedly 2016. That's still kind of iffy, at least it is in my book, but other amiibos can be used within the game. Specifically mentioned are the ones that work with Super Smash, so I suppose that's most of them. And each of these individual amiibos unlocks a new kind of bonus in the game. It also makes some more challenges, so pretty much if you have a big amiibo collection, you're definitely going to be using that with Twilight Princess HD, and it's probably going to add a fair amount of content to the game whenever you do choose to use these. So what it all comes down to is that Twilight Princess HD is a great version of an incredible game that, albeit at the end of the generation, pretty much defined the GameCube generation for many gamers and gave an incredible kickoff to the Wii generation of Nintendo games. So if you're looking to get into the game for the first time, if you love collecting amiibos and you want that Wolf Link amiibo, or if you are completely and totally inundated with everything Legend of Zelda and you're wanting to go back and get an HD version of your favorite Zelda game, then this one might be for you. So The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD is making its way to the Wii U later on this week. So there you guys have it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, drop me a like down below and comment what games you might be interested in picking up this week or maybe a little bit later on. Do you love the Zelda games? Have you really been looking forward to playing Heavy Rain on the PlayStation 4? Or are you a huge fan of Mortal Kombat and can't wait to play with all of these new characters? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And if you are new to the channel or you've never seen my other content, I upload new videos like 3 days a week, and then I stream live on twitch.tv/PrettyChillGuy311 every single Saturday. So there's always new content for you to enjoy, whether live or pre-recorded. And as always, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching this particular video. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.